Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. Today is day 2 of our training and we're just gonna get started right off the bat. I try to type good luck have fun to this guy and miss my drone. So the question is, do we add good luck have fun to the training thing? Do we need to train that so we can type it very quickly and not miss a beat? Or do we just stop being mannered and stop GGing, GLHFing? Or maybe we just choose a very strategic time to GLHF when there's nothing else going on. Maybe right after we build the 19 Overlord. Extractor trick, I did look this up. It's Overlord single extractor trick, being the most efficient way to open. And it works out really nicely. You build the Overlord, and then the drone that you built right before the Overlord, the 14th drone, you just rally it to the gas, and then it'll get there just about in time for you to have 75 minerals, which is what you need to complete an extractor trick. And that'll take you from 1414 to 1514. A little bit of extra economy there. It's slightly more efficient, so why the hell not? Why not just go for it? Ooh. That was me not using the entirety of my screen. I didn't put that, won't put that over in camera control. Use entire screen to click things. So that time we saw me move my screen upward, even though I didn't already. That was clean. Ooh, man, that's nice. I'm starting to get a couple of clean, and that's relatively clean, right? The click should have been a little bit more towards the spawning pool, but technically it didn't slow down the process at all. Super duper technically, you should click past the place where you want to build the building and time it so you get exactly the right amount of money as it's passing through that central square. So there's no deceleration on the drone before it builds the building. But that is super minutia that we're not going to have to worry about until we get to Grandmaster. Maybe we get to Grandmaster, we start caring about that shit. But even I draw the line somewhere. You gotta draw the line somewhere, everybody does. So I've had a lot of, even just looking forward on this, because this is all that kind of stuff. So, oh yeah, the video is 2 hours. I stretch out the video to last for 2 hours. However many games I play. Played 7 games today. Some of them are a little bit shorter. So we get to look at this even more in slow motion before. Oh, okay. Okay, this is how we start our day. Now, I did mess up this build. I remember not getting this build perfect, but I got 1414 bros. And I was told by the mighty Neuro that if you go 17, 18, 17, you can hold a 14, 14. And so instead of panicking like I did yesterday, made a little progress here. Instead of panicking, I let the hatchery finish. I built just one spine crawler. I said, okay. And the first thing I did was queued up the queen and the zerglings, because the idea was that's gonna help me defend this rush. I was told that one of the key parts of defending this rush with this build, with the macro build, is to get the queens onto the ramp. And it just, the timing didn't work out. I think I got an 18, and you're gonna see how close this is. I think I got an 18 hatchery instead of a 17 hatchery on accident. I just accidentally built an extra drone. Yep, happens quite a bit. So that's a bummer. This is kind of okay. I feel really good about this little bit of micro here. This is a time where I'm not actually spam clicking right now. I'm trying to create an arc. And then, oh, Zergling speed finishes. And that's like the nail in the coffin. So one of the things I gotta recognize is that when I'm dealing with attacks like this, that Zergling speed is gonna hit somewhere around 2 minutes 30 and make sure I get out of there before then. A lot of extra gas at the moment. I don't know if I should pull workers from gas at this point. Look at this. Oh, the queen almost finishes. It probably would have got surrounded, but I mean, with the broodlings and the other queen and a couple lings helping out, I think If that hatchery was a little bit sooner, we may have just been able to get 2 queens on the ramp to block it off. The problem is that this attack happens, right? And they have a hatchery up. We can see that on the minimap. We don't even have to look over there. They already have a hatchery up. So we are just ridiculously behind at this point in time. So I don't really have an answer. I don't really have an answer for this. I'm not really sure how it's supposed to be done. I did Skype Neuro to say like, hey, I tried the thing that you said, but the timing didn't work out. Am I fucking it up somehow? And hopefully he'll be able to get back to me. Or if anyone in the chat is hanging out and knows the answer, knows why it happened, and that's great. And then we lose the spawning pool, and that's pretty much the game. Had some nice moments. We did a cool little delay tactic there with the Zerglings. GGG, such a good game. But yeah, on to the next game, just like that. Hey Jack, doing StarCraft 2 again? Yes, today is day 2. You caught on quite early in the process. It's day 2, shaking off the rust as I knock the headphones out of the system. You could type exclamation mark training to look at my training document. See the various things that I'm trying to work on. Feel free to make comments, share your ideas, and things like that. If you notice something that I don't notice, you can put it in the document. If you want to help out, that'd be cool. If not, don't worry about it. And so one of the things I think I need to write, we might need like a specific, we'll put it in mechanics because it slows down our mechanics a lot. We'll put it more toward, we'll put it like above the build matchups thing. Okay, so one of the things is whoa, that was too much. Things to learn. Overlord, placement, base order. So one of the things that's been slowing me down quite a bit, I noticed this, is I don't know where my overlords are gonna go. So every time I build an overlord, I have to like stop and think and look around and be like, where is this overlord gonna go? And it usually makes my build behind. And I don't have a whole lot of free time out of the time that I play and then the time I have right now to do the analysis. But maybe tonight, kind of at the end of the day, I can just sort of do drills and it's not too bad. Really weird gas still here. I'm not going to take that gas for ages. And so that kind of tips me off initially to the idea of, okay, maybe this player isn't so good. The area where they're not so good is the opening. And so as a result, maybe I can take an advantage in the opening by making some lings, sending them across the map, and just sort of seeing what's there. I make 6 lings after the 19 Overlord in all matchups right now, just as a safe thing. So we'll see how that goes out. Are you aware of proper building positioning in ZVZ? Nope. Feel free to leave a comment in the training document that describes that, or a link where someone is doing it, or an article, or whatever you prefer. Feel free to leave that in the training document. That would be excellent to learn. Overlord placement, any resources you have on that as well would be super cool. I imagine it has something to do with the 2011 Lenok placement where he defends like a super early rush, I think a 6 pool, with like a macro build, and he does it by positioning his baneling nest in such a way that he can drone drill past with a queen in the gap. That was it was a very cool moment in StarCraft history where people thought, oh, you can't hold this rush without like going early aggression yourself, and then it got held. It was kind of like the moment when I think it was Rain held a 6 pool with the Nexus first on Whirlwind against Scarlet. It was a really cool, like, you can do that? And he just had really, really good worker micro. So far. Boxing with the queens I'm kind of okay with. Ideally you want to click on the queens, but a lot of times there are overlords hanging out, other things. It's not the worst thing in the world to have the habit of boxing the queen, but overall we're going to try to avoid it if we can. And we come up here and we realize, oh shit, this guy's got absolutely nothing at all. Getting put behind a little bit by the gas steel, and then getting put a little bit more, and I think I can get 2, 2, and 2 here on each of these structures. I'm looking at this a little bit too long though. I got a little tunnel vision here trying to get all the Zerglings to attack. And so I'm not injecting right now, or there's the money spent, there's the additional units. Now I gotta make sure I keep two guys fighting. I think the way to do that would be probably grabbing the outside ones. Probably individually selecting links, and then yeah, that's not gonna happen. So a little bit too tunnel vision on the attack. That's something that's normal, it's happening. That's been happening quite a bit. So, not the end of the world, but it's something that we're gonna continue to work on. Creep Queen's out doing her job. Should have left one to connect the main. I usually do, but we'll see. At this point, we're in a pretty heavy improv mode. Getting a little faster with the spore crawlers now as well. It's helping quite a bit. In situations like these where it's like I'm on 2 base and I'm attacking with probably a bigger army, a lot of times what I am thinking about is what can kill me, you know? So DTs being pretty high up there, oracles being high up there. I throw down the spore crawlers blind pretty often. At some point I'll probably need to be better about that, but it's so low on the priority list and it's so specific. Accidentally got some, what do you call them? Overlords in the control group there. Trying to get specifically these 5 out. Eventually I abandoned this idea because I'm like, oh wait, 5 to kill it, but I'm gonna need all the banelings. We have the 2 control groups being used. A little bit ineffectively. But overall, we bust through, get both cannons. Very nice there. And at this point, we're pretty clean. A little bit of spam clicking. I would say a moderate amount of spam clicking that we're trying to decrease. Yeah, medevacs at 5 minutes is the golden time. Beyond made a 2 base build, or made it, whatever, used it, popularized it, whatever you want to call it. That gets you 2 medevacs full of marines in the enemy base at 5 minutes, and it was a very important and very staple part of the TBZ times for a bit there. Very popular. I imagine it's still pretty popular right now. I'm still kind of getting back with things and seeing what the meta's like, seeing what people are using and doing. So, still kind of catching up in that way. Okay. And at this point, we're just waiting for 2 larvae. 2 larvae are done. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about here, and this is a good opportunity to do it. I do have an idle drone. Just misclicked that. Is normally you can get... we build a drone after that? Oh no, we don't. Yeah, so this is going to be another 18... accidental 18 hatch. But I think 17, 18, 17. I think then after the build, send the scout out. Or build a drone and send the scout out. I don't know if that's going to be too late, because one of the really cool things about 17, 18, 17 is that you get exactly 16 workers on your minerals really early on, and you can keep them paired the whole time, so they remain super efficient. Workers that are bouncing around are always going to be much less efficient. So you get a little advantage in that way, if you can avoid messing up your worker pairs. In the early game, that shit is mattering, right? Once we get over to the later stages of the game, we don't worry about it, we don't think about it. And we're like, oh god, attack! Oh no, it's just a probe. Also, my sound hasn't been working on StarCraft. None of these games are played with sound at all. I don't know what's going on. I might have to run like a scan and fix on my StarCraft or something, but like I haven't had sound working on StarCraft for 2 days now. I thought resetting it would fix it, but it did not. Yeah, so this is me finding Overlord spots. Oh, 19 Overlord comes out, and then we should have, you know, a decent amount of larvae as a result of not building drones after the 19 Overlord. That'll allow us to build some lings real quick. Should be able to get up to 6, I think, very quickly. The queen, circling speed, everything kind of coming together. Not perfectly, because we built the hatch on 18 on accident, so we have a little bit extra minerals than we're used to. So it doesn't, like, time out perfectly. There's the queen. And then we have circling speed. One of the other things that I'm thinking about messing around with is the idea of putting the workers in the gas right away from the mineral line, or rallying the workers in. I have a feeling that rallying the workers in is better, but I'm not sure about it. Thanks, Eon Blue, for helping out. A little information on positioning of the spawning pool to assist in ZVZ defenses. Yeah, we got a box there, some spam clicking. That was cleanly executed. No spamming there. Oh, and this is a terrible mistake. I don't realize it for a while. It looks like that's a wall, right? But this is the Terran building placement. And if you use the Terran building placement, 1 zealot's not enough, right? That pylon could be a supply depot. That gateway could be a barracks, and that would be like a normal setup, except you'd have one more gateway. Okay, so here's a really critical point. I don't attack the drones. You can see that the mothership core is coming out, And obviously this is going to change later on when the mothership core doesn't exist anymore, and Paras can't have a flying unit at 3.5 minutes into the game. Oh, maybe they can if they go Stargate. But spores. And totally fine. Yeah, but I shouldn't have gone for the cybernetics core here. I don't know why I did. I was thinking, okay, I'll delay their tech and kill the cybernetics core. The cybernetics core intuitively feels like a powerful thing to kill, and I felt like I could kill it. I happened to be right. Very easily could have been wrong. Nether was super close. But yeah, the probes were all alone. There was nothing to defend them. There were no enemy units. I should have attacked the probes, killed some probes. And that would be so much better, I think, than killing the cybernetics core. We know our opponent's going for air now. And we rally the overlords to the spore because they're going to be out overlord hunting. Really, I should probably keep all of my, what do you call it? I should keep all my overlords at home at this point, or suicide them in to get a better scout, but like either they're going home or they're going to get information right now. Oracle keeps coming across the map, right? I see that happening. And then we have the Phoenix, but the Oracle scouts us and comes back to defend. In general, I'm just not building enough drones. And then this is when I realize, oh my god, there's a base here? I'm just gonna kill this base. And then these are gonna kill that really important pylon. Wait, no, miscontrol. Look, I'm like, get to the pylon, and then the lings are in the way. Now I'm just making huge boxes and messing around. Ooh. Ooh, sloppy, sloppy. It's so interesting how when like things don't go according to plan, I just stop using my control groups and start manually clicking everything. This is also something that I learned from the Neuro, is that many times it's a good use of energy to double inject hatches or just layering more injects on top, because injects are so important. And if you can give yourself more time to micro, etc., then you will be in a pretty good spot. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, what am I thinking? Let's see, probably just kill them, I think is what I'm thinking. I definitely get too aggressive on the regular. Aggression is my default status as far as making a decision in the game. So I have to be careful for that. But I've noticed pretty consistently that this player doesn't have a lot of units. So the idea is, okay, they don't have a lot of units. I'm just gonna right click the Nexus and then get out of there. I think about the placement over there, and then I realize that's not probably the best. Moving up to 2 spores per base, getting gases, and not having enough money to build drones is a quite large mistake. Should be building drones first and then building buildings after. My default needs to be, okay, am I gonna build units or drones? Drones, build the drones, then build buildings after. For some reason, when I get back from like microing or something like that and I get back to my base, I keep thinking, quick, build stuff, do decisions, like make a tech choice, upgrade something, you know, like those are the things that pop into my head. Oh, and the Oracle comes in, and we've been like so prepared for this Oracle. This is the most delayed Oracle ever, so we're just super happy. Spores and all that come into play. So many queens. Definitely an overkill on the defense, but it was hard to tell what they were doing. They seem to just be making air units for the most part. with like one stalker. And so I was like, well, maybe they're, you know, just racking up a whole bunch of oracles to come kill me, you know? So that was my thought process behind that. Start spreading the vision out. And I think I finally start building drones now. Nope, I'm not. Still not building drones. If it's not already in the document, put it in the document. Do it. Then we'll have our big list of all the things that we need to fix, and then we can choose the more important one or the prerequisite one, right? We can choose the one that is necessary to do beforehand or is somehow more efficient to do beforehand. It's so hard to see those range indicators, unfortunately. It's like life, you know? StarCraft is so much like life. It's like there are so many things that you can improve on. There are so many different things that you're doing imperfectly that you could do better at. Like, for instance, what the fuck am I doing right now? It's just like I'm moving my queens over to get into a position to be defensive against another attack because I saw something on my mini-map. But that only requires one click. I just stood there and hung around and zoned out. I was like, I'm moving my queens around. Like, with 501k in the bank. Silly JaKaTaK. That's not efficient. And then I'm like, I will finish it off. I will kill it. Then I don't. Oh. You think I shouldn't be accurate with my creep tumors? I don't know. I like to take any opportunity I can to practice mouse accuracy. And accuracy over time creates speed, but speed with sloppy play just breeds more sloppy play. I'm not interested in being a sloppy player, really. There's a critical cat moment. 1 second. Come on. Icarus doesn't know how to open doors yet, so I have to open the door and let him in. Ugh. I think he's now meowing to get out. What a goofball. So I'm gonna check out we need to check something. Don't know where to put this really. We're just gonna put it at the bottom of. We need to check moving camera with mini-map while creep tumor is ghosting. So, in that action sequence there, we were spreading the creep. We moved the camera by edge scrolling, right? By moving the mouse to the edge. When at one point there was a pretty big jump, moving to the minimap would have been faster. So the question is, can we move the camera with the minimap while keeping that ghosted sort of, it's about to be a creep tumor image ready to go? Or will it cancel that out? Or will not move the minimap at all, right? We want to check that out. Cool, so we're going to continue this discussion about creep tumors. I think it's interesting. We're going to include it on the recording. I'll read out Eon Blue's statements and his ideas on the matter. I have some pretty fucking wild, weird-ass ideas about creep tumors, about spreading creep. I don't think that we've yet really, truly figured out the most efficient way to do it as a community of StarCraft players. So Ian Blue says, I'd argue, though, as soon as you try to be overly accurate, the adjective there's really weird for me. Like, overly accurate? Like, I don't understand. Like, where do you draw that line? Like, it's very subjective. So, what's overly accurate and what's underly accurate? With your creep tumors that only cost time and energy, you could be putting them 1 to 3 spaces to the end of the creep, save a lot of time while still being accurate enough for sure. By the way, Mothership Core 2 base, what the hell is going on? I should have just ran away from this. Yeah, just learn how to retreat, JaKaTaK. Anyway, back to the creep tumor idea. Creep spread has a low priority compared to everything else, everything that has mineral or gas value, because it's only energy based. So, second part, I'll totally agree with. Like, spreading creep is pretty low importance. I think it's still important, but I think it is lower importance than other things like spending your money or injecting so you have enough larvae, right? But the problem is that this argument, the problem that I have with this argument is that it comes from the perspective of stationariness, right? It says, in this game right now, if you had spent less time being accurate with your creep tumors, you would have had more time to do more important things, which is great. But I'm not really interested in being better right now. I'm interested in being better like 10 years from now. That's what I'm looking at. So when I look at this situation and say, okay, I have to press a series of buttons to spread the creep, what's the best way to do that? I'm not looking at as a, what's the best way to do that right now with my current ability, mouse accuracy, speed, etc. I'm looking at it 10 years from now and saying, okay, what is the most efficient way to do it? Should I learn how to do it in the best way possible? And with creep, one of the interesting things about creep is that most of the time, players don't, because it's such a low priority, most of the time players don't have time to spread the creep right away. So when you spend time spreading the creep, because of that, it's super advantageous to spread all the way to the edge. And it's going to spread your creep a lot faster than you deciding to do whatever you need to do super, super quick. You're going to get more creep spread as a result. So a little bit early on the recall. I forgot recall even existed. The stutter step could have been a little bit better, but I think overall that was okay. But yeah. So at this point I'm like, okay, it's a mothership rush. What the hell? A lot of weird stuff happened today. For some reason, and I think this is a mistake, I'm gonna try to fix this. For some reason, when I'm facing stuff that's weird, I kind of shut down all of my normal things. Like right now, I'm not really spending my money particularly well. I just become hyper focused on, okay, someone is doing something very extreme. How do I deal with that? And I was thinking, okay, I'll spread the creep and we'll do a queen hydra thing. In retrospect, I think you just still need the lings and banes. Like, just the hydra queen's not enough. You need the banes to clear out the zealots and the adepts. Probably just the zealots, right? But say they made adepts, it would function the same way. So that way the hydralisks can do their damage. They're very frail little buddies in this video game. But yeah, so I'm very lost right now as far as strategy and decision making go. Because I'm just like, what do you do against a 2-base mothership rush? That's not something I've ever seen before, or know, like, yeah, this is how you deal with that. I read that on a Team Liquid article one time, you know? But my main problem is I'm not building enough drones. We're doing a little bit of the rapid fire creep spread here. So you can see I'm not totally committed to one way or the other at the moment. It's a problem that I have yet to be confident in a solution about. It's interesting how that, like, internal struggle becomes external. I wonder how long this base has been up too. So this army just comes in and is just superior to my army in every possible way. And we're gonna get smashed to pieces. This is the result of not building drones. This game loss, in my opinion, is the result of not building drones. Hi. Cool. And now we continue our discussion about creep tumor mechanics, how to spread creep. Eon Blue says, the trade-off to get spread from 1 to 3 spaces to the edge, compared to being at the very edge 100% of the time, feels big compared to the gain. The investment into more accuracy doesn't feel like it's worth it, or like it's worth, because the difference is very small. What I'm doing is mostly rapid firing spread after I have more than about 3 creep tumors on screen. It's very fast and accurate enough compared to being very accurate, and taking more time for such a low priority is not worth it in my opinion. I think my perspective still stands here, right? I will eventually be able to spread creep as fast as you, but I will be more accurate, right? So let's say 10 years. Say I practice doing this perfectly for the next 10 years. I will be faster at creep spread than you. Not necessarily because I do the actions faster, but my creep will cover more of the map faster than yours will. I will continue to improve while you will stagnate and cap out on your mechanical sort of curve. And I think it's also important to note that accuracy, mouse accuracy in and of itself, is a very transferable skill. And I like, especially in StarCraft, mouse accuracy is incredibly powerful. So you're not only investing in mouse accuracy for faster and more efficient creep spreading, you're investing in mouse accuracy for your macro, for your micro, for everything that you do in the whole game. And this is the finishing blow. I decided to, all right, cool, you know what? I realized too late that I need to drone up. I'll just drone up right now, and maybe I'll die, maybe I won't. Just sort of rolling the dice there, because I think that's kind of all you can do. When you're super far behind, I feel like you have to take a big risk. Then I'm like, wait, there's a giant gap there. That's not my third. That's a back door. Wait a minute. That's the base. Took a little while. Yeah, Ian Blue responds, I'm not contradicting your statement. Didn't think you were, just in case you thought that. Find your viewpoint super interesting and generally trying to find a good middle ground between efficiency and training while you're focused mostly on the efficiency and take the trades for the speed. Efficiency and speed in training. Speed in training. What is speed in training? What does that metric measure? It's a little, I could interpret it in a couple of different ways, and I want to make sure that I'm using your definition here. Icarus Buddy is gonna show his little ears for a moment and then walk to the door to tell me to let him out. He's such a silly little cat. I need to teach him how to open doors. My life would be so much easier if my cat could just open doors. Just come and go whenever they wanted to. That wasn't like kind of like an 18 gas. It's interesting. Yeah, continuing on with the long-term versus short-term thinking. And not to make that black and white, let's say, I don't know how you would say that, but there are many gradients, right? How long-term ahead are you thinking, right? When you are doing whatever you're doing. Are you deciding to say, I'm going to be great at StarCraft, and I'll be playing for the next 3 years? Okay, well, that's a certain amount of time that you have. And you want to spend some of those 3 years just kicking butt and feeling great about that. And some of those years, you know, maybe investing in more long-term goals. And if you're looking out 5 years, maybe your priorities shift around a little bit. If you're looking out, I'm going to be playing StarCraft for the next 10 years, then your priorities shift around again, you know? It has a lot to do with, like Varen said, your goals in StarCraft 2. But I think specifically how long you've decided to commit. How many years of your life are you going to commit to playing this game? I plan on playing RTS like this, and a 1 versus 1 RTS in this way, pretty much for the rest of my life. It's super mentally beneficial. Just like, more so than pretty much anything else. I only spent a week Googling stuff and looking at scholarly articles about various developments. Like, most of them have been debunked though. Generally speaking, we found that intelligence is malleable and we can improve it. But right now we're trying to figure out, we as in the scientific community is trying to figure out, all right, what kind of things do you do to improve at what kind of functions, like cognitive flexibility, right? Or something like that. All right, so this is a little decision. I'd really like to get your comments, your ideas on this, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're live on Twitch right now. I decide to make, I do something that I think is controversial but correct, and controversial in my own brain. So my instinct here is, it's a base, it's vulnerable, go kill it. But then this little second thought, and it just popped into my head just now, and you can see that the thought is there, the thought is there. Oh, there we go. So I said, well, if this guy has got is building a base secretly, and I skirted just the edge of it with the Overlord, so it's pretty high probability that he doesn't know that I know that he has a base. I'm just gonna go right into his main, because if he spent all that money on an expansion, then his main's gonna be vulnerable, and that's where I can do the most damage right now. So that's the thought. Quick question from Glorfith in the chat. Hey Jack, how did you get your larva to follow the probe? Right click. If you right click, the larva will go to that place wherever. And if you right click an enemy, they will attack that thing that you have clicked. Free probe, pretty cool. Try to attack through. Sometimes if you click a lot, that's intentional spam clicking. Sometimes if you click a lot, you can actually slip through. It's very true in Brood War, but it's somewhat true in StarCraft 2 as well. Cool, so we already got some lost mining time. That's a good bit of damage. My main goal right here is to keep these Zerglings alive. I'm doing pretty good about spending my money right now while doing the micro. And I'm just trying to keep the door open. Hold the door, right? I'm trying to kill this pylon, keep the door open because more lings are on the way. And just keep my lings alive till the reinforcements get here. Because if that pylon's gone, our opponent is back down to 1 gateway. We get everything back in. The rally comes through. That would have been a good time to inject. Very likely that would have been a good time to inject. So this is something that, this is a little mechanical thing that's cropped up that I didn't realize was a thing. But attacking buildings with Zerglings, that's a thing. This pylon would have been killed a lot faster if I had left that one corner Zergling to attack. There's a lot of little mouse accuracy opportunities there. If you have really strong mouse accuracy. Okay, that's out of commission. We have a flying monstrosity. We trigger the only thing. We're still making units. Yep. But at this point, I was just sort of like, when I scouted this back base, I was like, oh my god, not only a greedy gold base, but also taking a natural as well? So excessive. I was hoping to get the timing right. I was trying to estimate about how long it takes to build a pylon and make sure I got my lings back in time. I almost timed it perfectly. It was a little bit on the late side, but I was thinking about that. Still some building hotkey issues. We changed those 2 days ago. So it will probably take the rest of the week for perfection to set in. I didn't do any drills this morning, so I'll probably do some drills tonight. And right now it's just sort of like, okay, juicy probes, kill the probes. If the probes are dead, we can win the video game. You know what? It probably would have been good to move my Overlord right over the Nexus to get a better idea of if there were any pylons over there and they were starting to rebuild. But overall, it was a really nice strategic thing. We got a good scout off. The decision happened to work out. Eon Blue talking about that a little bit here in the chat. I think if your opponent doesn't know that you scouted the base, then the opponent will try to keep you in the dark of what's going on. The best thing he can do, the best thing they can do to keep you in the dark is to deny your scouting and attacks. So I think if your opponent knew you scouted the base, attacking his main is better. While if he thinks you didn't see his base, attacking that base is better. I don't follow that at all. I would love to follow that. I'm trying to understand it, but I don't understand it. I don't understand how the best thing part, right? The best thing they can do is to keep you in the dark. How does that connect to attacking one base or the other? Because if they're trying to deny my attacks, yeah, I'm just not seeing that piece of information informing my strategy or my decision to attack which base. So there's a little bridge that I need to get me from where you are to there. Good morning, Ektar. Cool, so this is the first time we did it. We finally did it. We said, okay, now is the time. Oh, this was a laggy game. Oh, I remember this now. I am Deuce. Well, sorry, Deuce. So after the Overlord pops, I always make 2 drones, and so I decided this game, let's just try something. Let's have one drone make the hatchery, like they usually do, and then we'll have the other drone go and do the scouting, and that'll be our scout timing. I really didn't like being 15 out of 16 in the main. It probably isn't that huge, but it feels big. It feels like, I'm wasting efficiency. Some fallout from Eon Blue here. Your attacks are also scouting, correct. Understood. If he lets you in his base, you'll scout a lack of tech or buildings in general, which will tip you off in thinking you must have something out there. Correct. I understand that. Why does that mean taking the base is better? Or attacking the gold base is better? Because basically you're suggesting I do the opposite of what I did in that game. My opponent didn't scout me, and I didn't attack the base. And you're saying if your opponent doesn't scout you, you should attack the base. So we're getting there, one step at a time. And this is interesting, right? Because this is what teaching is. This is what it is, right? It's you telling someone something as a teacher and them not understanding, and then having communication between 2 people to get the brains synced up, right? To get that information across. And right now, there's a disconnect between what Eon Blue is saying and what I am hearing or understanding. If he thinks you saw his base, then he will put additional defenses there. Okay, so I think that's just a misunderstanding for me. I think you're saying that I did the correct thing in attacking the main. If he thinks you didn't scout, he will try to get as much value with the least amount of investment there. Little hotkey issue. So this is the first time I decide to drone scout, and it goes completely unnoticed. And I was like, okay, well, you didn't see this come in at all? I'm gonna put a spine crawler down there and see what I can get done, because that sounds like a fun time. It seemed like an opportunity. Usually the drone gets seen by like another drone or an overlord flying by or whatever. But as far as I could tell, it didn't get scouted at all. So we're gonna use the element of surprise here and see if we can take an advantage. A little bit of spam clicking and unnecessary camera motion there. I mistimed this a bit. I was like, oh wow, it's already done. Crap, gotta get over there. Because it's gonna get scouted. Now let's see if we can continue to inject and spend larva. So far so good. Queen's not out yet. Baneling Nest on the way. We do have 1 base saturation, and we're just foregoing the 2nd base of saturation because we got this little unexpected edge of having a spine crawler in our opponent's main. And it seems like they're pretty light on Zerglings as well. They did expand slightly before us. And we're just going to move that just in range of the hatchery. Just so we can get it burrowing as quickly as possible. So by the time something gets to it, it can fight back. All we needed to do is hit the hatchery and we're fine. And then defend it with the lings. Spam clicking instead of doing something useful. We're missing overlords here. Oh, we lost an overlord. Ooh. That's interesting. So the idea is attack the least defended place. In this case, I feel like as a result of that strategy, they're not really well defended anywhere. And I poked into the main, and we end up winning that little game. Funny, silly stuff there. Yeah, I think that Nexus finishes, he doesn't build any workers with it, and I just kill it. Not as good as getting into the main because he didn't have enough money to build defenses in his main, I think. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's always this kind of it depends thing, right? Because that hatchery, that Nexus, excuse me, came down at that time in the game, based on what I had and what he probably had at the time, it meant he had no defenses anywhere. So at that point you go pure value, or almost no defenses. He had a zealot and a wall in the main, and he had nothing at the gold. But we could break that down. Did we get lucky though? That's an important question to ask, right? In the why did I win category, did we just get lucky? And he moved the zealot out of the way, and as a result, you know, if a competent player was playing, they would have defended easily and we would have wasted links. I mean, worst case scenario, we'd get pushed back and then just go kill the gold, because there's no way he could get anything to defend in time. We would just be able to retreat. So I think it's okay to at least poke up the main and see what the defenses are. Yeah, that third Nexus was a big mistake. I agree. Cool. Pretty efficient so far. Oh, I didn't set up my camera locations. That happened a couple times. A little bit of dragging in there. That's errors in mouse accuracy, basically. Oh, and this is, I noticed an action sequence mid-game here that I should get used to. Click the hatchery, camera location, click your own hatchery, and then you can see whose hatchery is ahead. And you can do the same thing with the gas in the spawning pool. I never realized that that was an action sequence to learn, and then I just, in the middle of this game, was like, oh, this would be really cool to be able to do consistently and quickly. And I think I have all the tools to do so. You have the double tap control group to get back to where the scouting worker is, and then you have the camera location keys to check your own stuff. Eventually, I should be able to do this as the drone is moving past. And just click, camera location, click, compare, and then same thing with the gas. We can compare how much gas is left. That's going to show us who gets Zergling speed first, which is a pretty important thing to know. So this is like laying the foundation for important scouting things later on. So I think getting into the habit of knowing how much gas my opponent has mined, especially in a ZVZ, where whoever gets speed first is like has a pretty big edge in Ling War. If you can just skirmish around and you know you're gonna get speed first, and then you do and you take an engagement when they're not ready, like, so good. Should have just left this drone for dead. Instead of spending time on this, I should have been spending time spending my money, I think. We're at 136 gas. Did I don't start speed yet? You do have to actually start speed to be ahead in the Zergling speed race. Oh yeah, for gas, technically you could look at your own gas, but that's a lot of math. It's easier, I think, to just learn the action sequence. It takes no time and you can just see the difference in the numbers right away. And at this stage in the game, perfect play is possible. That's an important thing to distinguish too. The things that we can work on in this early game section where it's possible to literally do everything that you have to do, we get to super detail on that, right? Any little thing that we can do, we want to invest in that because eventually we will be able to play it perfectly. But once you start getting past and when I say perfectly, I mean literally every single click, every single movement of the mouse, every single button pressed is perfect. And there is no excess and nothing done incorrectly. It is possible to do. I know because without much practice, I played a 4-minute perfect game. Like not a single extraneous click and everything reacted to perfectly. No inefficiencies at all. All correct decisions for 3 minutes. It's harder than you might think it is. $2,000 gas per geyser. Not sure if it's a lot of math, really. It's a lot of math for me. I'm very, very bad at doing math in my head. This is where I stretch myself thin. I don't have a good game plan about what I'm going to do here. And I know that the next step is a Roach Warren and Evo, and I see a bunch of money and gas piling up, and I'm like, man, I really need to spend this gas. I need to get a Roach Warren. Yeah, so the question is, long-term, what's faster? Clicking both geysers or doing the math? And perhaps doing the math is faster. I don't think it is though, not for me anyway. I'm not good at doing almost anything in my head. I have to like see it or manipulate it in some way. So I decided I was making more army there, and then I saw that he started retreating. And so I said, okay, never mind, we'll cancel those and we'll build drones instead. But I think larva is too scarce to do that. No, I built quite a few drones. You take a pretty big hit in larva, but you make a whole bunch of drones instead of workers, and it's pretty quick. And now is the important time to do it. It's hard to tell if that was the correct decision or not. It feels like the correct decision though. Yeah, either way, if you do the gas with the math way, or if you do it with the mechanical muscle memory way, either way, I think you can do either of those things perfectly at that stage in the game. So I suppose since I'm not predisposed to doing math quickly in my head, I'll do it the mechanical way. And the cool thing too is that learning that mechanic, learning that action sequence is the same for clicking gas or clicking the hatchery or clicking the spawning pool. So I'm already going to be able to know how to do that as is. Okay, and here I make tons of units instead of droning. Like, I got a faster third than my opponent. My advantage is in economy. I should be droning like a maniac right now. But instead, I teched up and built a bunch of units. Now I'm on 3 bases with no workers. It was just a mess of a game. And I realized it afterwards. I kind of absently move my army. Oh, why is my enemy blue instead of red? I need to make sure I change that. Little improvement there. Something we talked about yesterday is the ling spread mechanic, where you take the zerglings and you spread them to each base. I'm going to do that now, inefficiently, inefficiently. And then I realize, and damn, there we go. That is the efficient way to do it. Just use the minimap. No need to click in that particular area. And your mouse accuracy will thank you. Yeah, getting in the habit of just building drones and just being too greedy. And then dialing back from there. Day9 says that is the best way to learn how to zerg, right? Learn when to drone and all that kind of stuff. Makes sense to me. In general, I disagree with most of my decisions this game. I don't think that they were particularly good. And I had a hard time, and I thought about it too right after the game, because I realized after the game, like, man, what was I doing? Like, just really big things, like when to attack, when to expand, when to make drones, when to build units, like those basic decisions, right? They were just so at odds with each other. Take a third base, but don't build any drones. You know, it's like, that doesn't make much sense. Unless you're doing something really specific to try to fake out an opponent that thinks you're gonna do something when you're not. Like, I don't know. Just doesn't seem very smart. I'm gonna move across the map with some roaches. I need to scout the front more. I need to be in the habit of scouting the front more. Just suiciding a Zergling in to see what their army is like and where it's hanging out. It's so valuable. Because right now, I don't know if I have the bigger Roach army or not. And I think, oh, okay, cool. Here. So here's a little bit of adaptation for me from the games of yesterday. One of my goals is to stop attacking and expanding blindly. But to do it based on information. So I sent a Roach out to see what was going on. And I was like, all right, some Lings, couple of Banes, few Roaches, not too many. Didn't get to click to see what their upgrades were. And my +2 is about halfway. And instead of droning, I'm going to attack before my +2 finishes. If the early game decision making wasn't bad enough. Yeah, setting a, all right, so Ian Blue says having a set get more gas timing will be helpful. You can get away with each matchup with one gas for ages. Yeah. Let's, all right, that's a strategic deal. Delay second gas until ... question mark. When will we delay it? This is a bunch of really silly waffling. I think the engagement's pretty good though. Most of my units start engaging at the same time. Not too much free damage. I go brain dead here for a moment and just walk into my own corrosive biles, which is quite damaging. Accidentally attack move directly on a single unit. I throw down the corrosive biles a bit too late, and then I realized there are 3 overlords there underneath a bunch of roaches. Should have been hitting that up really hard. That would have been very valuable, but end up losing the fight. And I check my upgrade. I'm like, oh, it just finished. Why did I do that? And now that I realize I have so few drones, I'm gonna min-max this as much as possible on the way home here. I didn't realize I stopped moving the second one, dropped the micro just a little bit. It was fun. It's fun to micro. It's really fun to micro. Especially in these little cases where it doesn't matter. It's super fun. And so I do it sometimes. I did keep some Banes and Lings over at that base because I was expecting a counterattack. Accidental F2 over here sends all my scouting units away. Not the awfulest thing in the earth, though. Things could be much awfuler for sure. And we're kind of getting this weird semi-surround. The fact that all my units came from every direction helped me a lot knowing where my opponent's army is and making a decent engagement, trying to think of the positioning and such. But they just have too much stuff. I should keep that in mind to do intentionally. That was an accident, but I think sometimes it'll be good to intentionally say, okay, I want all the Zerglings I have spread out on the map to come from every direction and just kind of do a quick scrape of the base. And just, or of the map rather, and just see what's going on. Then we GG out. Ooh, Eon Blue's got some specific gas advice. Eon Blue, if you could make a little section in the training document with your specific gas advice. Because I will not be able to remember it from Twitch chat. But it will be very, very useful when I play my games tomorrow morning. A little bit of issues arising there because I wasn't sure where to put the Overlord. Took a little bit too long. And that's just about knowing ahead of time where my Overlord is going to go. Thanks so much, Eon Blue, for the tips. Anyone on YouTube who's feeling left out, please leave your tips in the comment section. And I'll just link the training document in the about of the video, in the about section of the video. So that way, if you have ideas, you can leave some comments on the document as well. So just still kind of getting this new drone scout timing down. It does feel a lot better to play with the drone scout. I do prefer it. But the first day of playing StarCraft back from many weeks of not playing, I just wasn't feeling it yesterday. Started to incorporate about halfway through today, so hopefully by tomorrow I'll be doing every match. Whoa! Ektar cheered. Hi, YouTube.
Less than 3.
Less than 3. Hey, don't call YouTube less than 3. They're a 5 minimum. No, but seriously. Thanks for the cheer, Ektar. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. And yeah, so I'm starting to get this intro a little bit cleaner, this opening build order, the 17, 18, 17, a little bit cleaner. We did get a reply from Neuro. I'll read it out. We've been dealing with 14, 14 versus 17, 18, 17. It's been difficult, so I asked him for advice. And he said, the Ling should probably arrive right as the hatchery is finishing, but they need to morph Banes, so they're more just softening up the hatch and pulling attention and trying to snipe some the queen at the natural. So your 6 Lings escort the natural Expo Queen to the natural. Queen's at the ramp, Bane Nest, Ling Speed. Oh, Baneling Nest, then Ling Speed. Oh, ooh, that's cool. That's good to know. Spine between your main hatch and the ramp. Cool. Also, what's up, Mari? How's it going? Look at me uselessly click on this drone. Get some marine. Do people not Reaper expand anymore, or are people in low diamond just bad? I mean, like, I'm bad and I'm in low diamond, so that must be true, right? But like, is that like out of the meta? I remember like every single ZVT, like I could count it in. Be like, all right, here comes the Reaper. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there's the Reaper just on time, right? Like it was clockwork. Everyone was Reaper expanding, but it seems less popular now, or I'm just playing people who don't use good builds. Can you explain the spawning pool position? Spawning pool position in ZVT and ZVP. I want to put it attached to the hatchery to reduce surface on both buildings. And I also want it to be away from the place where the drops will happen. So I don't want the Terran or even the Protoss to be able to come in, harass, drop, whatever, and just be in a spot to be able to snipe my spawning pool, because it's really important. So it makes it easier to defend when it's more in the middle of the base, as far as defending from drops are concerned. People in low diamond do weird shit. Yeah, that's what I figured. Oh, is a reason why people don't Reaper expand. Because you don't deal damage with it anymore. Why on top of the larva? Is some reasoning behind that? Nope. Not particularly. Not particularly. I imagine there are probably some things you can do with the spawning pool placement to assist you with larva placement. But that is not the reason why I did it. I wasn't really considering that yet. Oh, this game. Okay, all right. So this player is very good about hunting overlords with Marines. I know that because they did it to me 2 games in a row. We play this person again next game, so we'll get to see that. I'm overbuilding lings right now. I really should be droning up. I have enough lings out on the map to clean up any of the Marines that are killing my overlords. I really should be building overlords and drones, not making more lings. It's pretty standard JaKaTaK stuff. Everyone dies at the same time. Woohoo! Sorry, Overlord. I tried to save you. Did not do a very good job. That is a bad spot for the Queen as far as placement goes, right? Because it gets pushed away from the hatch by the egg, so that means your rallies are a little bit slower and your injects are a little bit slower, and there's no reason for it at all. Is it a significant difference? That doesn't matter. The matter is non-zero advantage for no cost. We always take the non-zero advantage for no cost. Gonna come in here expecting the expansion to be down. It's not down yet. Maybe spending a little bit too much time here, but the money's being spent relatively well. I just need to stop making links. I'm just really afraid that there's no expansion and there's some kind of weird battlecruiser rush or something. Like, anything can happen. We're just dealing with a one-base Terran here and just being like, I don't know. So I'm getting scared. When I get scared, I build units. When I build units, I lose the game because I don't have enough drones. So please chill. Please chill, JaKaTaK. All right. I think I try to Baneling bust him. I probably do. I've got lings. He's got a ramp. And the Baneling nest is there. All I have to do is press the button and I get 5 Baneling cocoons just like that. Ugh. But this happened to me. The last time I was playing pretty consistently was maybe like a year ago. And I remember this exact same thing happening to me. So I'm recalling an old lesson here. As I move the Banes up the ramp, they're gonna get sniped by a Widow Mine. And losing all your Banes to a Widow Mine is like when you're doing this, when you're doing the if my Banelings hit, they lose 2 supply depots and they get hurt so bad. Oh no, this was the tank one. This one I came so late they already had a tank out. Next game I get killed by a Widow Mine. You know, for fun times. I missed this drop. I totally missed this drop coming in. Or did they just walk in the front door? Nah, I'm not gonna check it. Mini-map awareness is the same, right? Ugh. the same thing happens, and that is make sure you're aware of the minimap. The patch on the Widow Mines is amazing though. The fact that when they're only cloaked when they're active is like, ugh. For a scrub like me, it is really nice. It makes the unit much less frustrating to deal with. It does get the, like in this case, right? It does get the damage done, but I don't know why I sent my links there. I realized halfway, it's like, no, links aren't going to do anything against that. So we're having a priority issue here. I did a whole bunch of things before I moved the Spore Crawler. I think I need to set that up a bit better. And you do workers run, move the Spore, then do everything else you need to do, I think is the way to go about it. Then I'm going to go up to 2 per base. So, just getting used to this. We keep boxing the Spore Crawler unnecessarily. So we need to knock that off. It is a new coordination, right? It's a new thing, learning to do the dance of the Liberator and the Spore Crawler. All right. Still got some hotkey issues there. Just figuring out how to deal with all of this. Very tricky. I think I sent the links back for one reason or another. And they can't do anything. I think that was just an instinct. Why did the links go back? Oh, totally. Yeah. So I have this instinct of like, quick, get the army there to defend. But they're all Zerglings. They can't do anything. What are you guys doing? You taking pictures? And the Spore is going to finish, so we find there. Based on the fact that he set up in that way, I'm pretty sure he wasn't paying attention at that moment in time, or they were not paying attention at that moment in time. And we just try to get in position so that way they can't kill all of our larvae. I think that's getting patched out. The ability for Liberators to attack eggs and larvae. It's pretty repressive. It feels quite bad.
Welcome to the pack.
Hey, Hellplay is 666. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Feel free to contribute to the training document if you have any ideas about things that I ought to be prioritizing in my quest to improve as a StarCraft player. All right. This is weird. The creep doesn't go all the way up there. A lot of maps have it go like halfway up, and that's just based on the placement of the hatchery. So I was a little taken aback by that, just because I was so used to such a uniform main natural setup from when I was playing earlier. So it's a little bit more varied now. I'm getting bathing speed. That's fine. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There's a bad habit. There's a little baby bad habit. Okay. Don't wait for the money. So sometimes I won't have the money for something, but I want to get it and I know it's important that I get it. So I just stare at that thing and do nothing else. Instead, what I should do is say, I'm gonna do one thing and then return. What's a thing that I can do? Oh, I can put workers into gas, or I can check to see how my saturation is doing. Any of those things is nice, right? Even if you're not doing anything, even if you're just gathering information to help make your next decision, it's still valuable use of your time, and much more valuable than staring at something that is non-changing. You already know what's going on. This is a bit aggressive on the gas taking. I'm just kind of taking all the gas and droning up like a maniac with no vision. This is I would call this blind blind economic play. We did defend a lot of their harassment, and it was high-tech harassment, so the idea at that point was, we've defended, let's get our economy up, and recover from the drones that we've lost, go a little bit past that maybe, and just try to improve our position long-term a little bit before we go back to making units. I think it's pretty good, but we should have made some Zerglings to take the watchtowers and check for third bases. Not knowing the third base timing is really, it's a pretty big scouting hole. Pretty big information hole right here. That's to get a hive. I don't know if you're supposed to do that next. I don't know what comes next with Lingbane Hydra against Terran or Protoss. I imagine Vipers get involved. I think the Viper would be a great unit to get involved in that composition. Depending, like obviously if they have siege tanks or something like that, but even, I don't even, Liberators too, right? Liberators too, the Viper would be quite good against that. I think you need a hive for Vipers. It's just that I've been playing so much Vanguard that I don't remember what you need to get a Viper. And we'll put that on list of things I just need to know. Get the how to Viper. Viper question. How do you even Viper? Who even knows how to do such crazy thing? Alright. The big scary scan goes down, sees all our tech. I'm planning on getting a hive, but I'm just gonna wait until the scan's gone. Maybe not necessary, but it feels like the right thing to do. Supply blocked at the moment. Actually, I need to use the facilities, so I'm gonna pause this real quick and I'll be right back. It's interesting how a lot of times the mouse makes an arc kind of a motion instead of a straight line. I think the intuition, the gut reflex is straight line is gonna be faster than an arc, but it might be that the muscles in the hand and where the mouse is at the time make it a more comfortable natural motion than a straight line, and potentially even faster, depending on, you know, how the muscles are going to work to move the mouse. So I'm not totally sold on it, but there is this little like sort of itch in my brain that's like, is the straight line the fastest? Is that the fastest way to move the mouse from one location to another? Oh, that was a box instead of a control click there as well. I really should be playing Creep or Die. And of course I shouldn't be spreading creep right now. I should be spending my money doing other things. But I'm kind of okay with the idea of losing games because I'm investing in long-term mechanics. I'm just getting out of the liberation zones there. I think I get to pick up 2 more tanks. Ended up working out relatively well. The main point is I'm not spending my money while this is going on. Pretty standard stuff, getting distracted by a fight and not spending money is a pretty standard thing. All these units could be out by now. Ah. Gwenvid. There are no vowels other than Y's in that ID. It says, what are you doing, JaKaTaK? This is self-analysis. So I played some games this morning, and then I put them in slow motion, and now we're gonna, you know, or we have been rather, we go over them and we write a list of things that we suck at, and we try to find the thing that is most important to stop sucking at. And then we work on that the next day. I'm also getting that's correct as in pronunciation. Very excited to pronounce a name with no conventional vowels in it. And we have an opponent on our creep. And tons of money we're about to spend. It's time to attack from every angle. Oh, not quite. I think it doesn't matter. The important thing is to attack outside of the Liberator circles. And we ended up doing okay. If we had planned this around a bit better, I think we could have gotten everything here, but we get mostly everything. Overall, tactically, it's pretty sound, but again, building things while that's going on. Ah, you like the slow motion idea. Cool. The other thing that you might notice is that this isn't a replay, this is a first-person VOD, and so there's a mouse. And we actually get quite a bit of information looking at our mouse and seeing how it moves and seeing where it's going and what it's doing. It helps diagnose mechanical problems much, 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 much better. First-person VOD is like one of the best ways to review your play. And that's been true since Brood War. People have been saying that for a very, very long time, so. Nothing crazy. That should have been a click, not a box. Man. Really, really wish I had fixed these bad habits earlier. So many inefficient, useless boxes. Okay. So we're building Lings, Banes, and Hydras just like we're supposed to. Got probably extra macro hatches. I have tons of gas. I probably should just build infestors. I should, yeah, you know what? I should totally have built infestors here. I remember thinking about it and then being like, I don't want to deal with controlling spellcasters right now. So that's the deal. That's what happens when you're a low APM player, or you know, comparatively low to like the high level players who do this stuff. The idea of adding on additional difficulty to what I'm already doing is like, oh man. I'm just gonna spend my gas in every possible way I possibly can ever. I'm gonna build a spire, rather. I'm gonna build it all. I just need to figure out a way to spend my gas. Really, I should have just spent my minerals on drones probably and just had better mineral income, but some silly mistakes. We don't need to worry about them too much. This is a really nice move. So one of the things that Ace said to me last time is the idea about being more patient about when I'm going to take engagements. And so this time I was like, I'm going to scout and see what the positioning of his army is and see if I can crush it. And I'm like, oh, Liberators and Siege Tanks all not sieged up and the Biles all clumped up together so the Banelings can hit it? That sounds like a recipe for Zerg winning the video game. And indeed it was. Did I record my first person VOD with OBS? Yes, I did. I did. It is my preferred recording option. There are a lot of different ways to record yourself. It's the one that I am most familiar with and most used to. I think XSplit is free now, but back in the day, XSplit cost like $100 for a year license or whatever. And I bought that once and then I found out OBS came out and it was free and I was like, well, okay. By the way, same matchup, same player, same map, same spawning positions. Like, what just happened? We're gonna do it again. It's the same guy. So we did metagame a little bit here. We did metagame a small amount. Yeah, I still don't know which bases I'm gonna take. I still don't know what the order of the bases is gonna be. So it makes it hard to set up camera locations. And you do want to build that habit early on so you can memorize, okay, this button on my keyboard is equal to this location on this particular map, because each map is different. So starting to build that connection early on is best if you can do it. But a little tricky this time around. We say GLHF there without messing up our build. Woohoo! And this weird thing. Okay, so I just played against this guy. I did not queue as random. I queued as Zerg. And he's asking me what race I'm playing. So I was just like, yeah, sorry, too busy to engage in conversation. I was distracted by it though. That's a mentality thing. I saw the chat there and I was distracted by it. And I didn't send my drone quite early enough, I think. I wasn't really focused on it. I was just like kind of confused about this person being like, why would you ask me my race if we just played together and I queued as Zerg? Like, what? Just click the bottom and in the top, the button in the top right. Like, probably doesn't know about that. But I mean, still, it's just such a weird question to ask. So it threw me off. Build got off a little bit. I think this is a proper 17, 18, 17 though. Yep, pretty good. Overall, 17, 18, 17 with a scout, right? So then we end up at 15 and a 16 in the main. Just not my favorite thing. Just double checking my cameras. Probably thinking about, at that point, what I'm going to be doing long term for the cameras. This does push the larva to the right side, so maybe I should be building the spawning pool on the right side, so it pushes the larva to the left, closer to the mineral line. I should probably do that. I think I will. Someone gave me that idea earlier. Who was that? Was it Mari? I don't remember. Anyway. I think it was Mari. Yeah, Y on top of the larva, that was Mari. Yep, so same tactic, right? Partially building the supply depot. This time I mess up and I let the SCV get the first hit off and I'm just sitting there. It's weird because deep down, I know that the drone's gonna lose because it's whoever gets the first hit with drone and SCV. I already know that. For some reason, I was just like, but what if I win? It's like, no, you already know the result. You're for some reason just like hoping and gambling that something that you're pretty sure is not true is going to just come true magically. Like, funny little mentality flaws, right? They just show up. And they're a lot easier to look at and consider when you played the games this morning and then it's the afternoon and you're reviewing them, rather than playing a game, looking at the replay, playing the game, looking at the replay, playing the game, looking at the replay. This has been really, really nice. I strongly suggest this method of analysis to anyone who's interested in trying something new and seeing how it works for them, because this has been so much easier for me to be objective about my analysis of my own play. I can almost analyze it as if it's not me, if I'm just like watching a Zerg player and considering what their inefficiencies are. It's very, very nice. All right, trying to get us around here. I think the clicking is warranted in this case. I missed an attack move. If I had issued an attack move, I think at the right time there, I might have been able to surround. One ling one way, one ling the other way. I tried to block it in, but then I realized, oh, what I should be blocking it from is the ramp, not from going home. Or rather, I should be blocking both, because I had the opportunity to do so. A little bit of miss micro. Early game Ling versus SCV micro without speed is tricky. We get our Baneley Nest a little bit late. That's the other thing too. Baneley Nest should come down with the second, basically at 150 gas mined, right? First 100 gas is for speed, next 50 is for the Baneley Nest, next 100 is for the lair. All right, good. Whew, I thought I was gonna stare at that the whole time while the workers, while the lings are going across the map. That's a nice little improvement that I didn't expect. Oh God, 1 hit point overlord. I do stare at this for way too long. Should be building an overlord. Oh, I did, nice, okay. I built an overlord. A little bit on the late side. This overlord is supposed to come at 29, not 34, but we remembered it before 36, so we take the little victories where they appear. Progress is incremental and non-linear. And improving is so much easier when you accept that that's true. So you can go kill those lings off screen because they don't have like main roles, so we can just kill them off screen. We don't have to give him like a full, you know, they're not like Jaime Lannister or anything, you know. You can't kill Jaime Lannister off screen. If you're gonna kill Jaime Lannister, you gotta do it on screen. That's just the way it goes in showbiz, you know, in the business of shows, of course. Yep, so exactly the same situation as last game, right? And this is the moment where I'm like, oh, sick. This is a moment of vulnerability. I'll be able to bust through his ramp. I have so much economy compared to him right now. It's great. I built tons of drones. Maybe not as many as I should, but definitely more than I usually do. And I'm like, all right, 5 Banes. 5 Banes is all I need to break this. I'll kill. The cool thing about that particular wall that is just begging to be busted by Banelings is that the add-on and both supply depots will die all to 5 Banelings if you click on the center. And so they're down 2 supply depots and whatever add-on they were expecting. I think this one's even a tech lab, so that's going to slow down whatever that tech was going to be. So very valuable stuff. Unfortunately, I don't really have enough units to do the follow-up damage, and just running the Banes in without follow-up damage is... It's basically just throwing them away, so we have to wait. Even though I know right now it's like, I'm basically racing the clock for when he gets that tank up, and then this becomes no longer a vulnerability. So there's a small window of opportunity that I'm trying to make happen here. And what I should do now is send 1 Zergling up the ramp to check for what's about to happen. Oh god, there it is. I just watch it happen and just, oh, the sadness. And the other 2 Banelings come in, I'm like, maybe I can kill because they got damaged. And the answer to that is just no. With the Marines coming out, I was a reactor. With the Marines coming out, just finish everything up. Oh, and pretty much all their supply is right there. If I had made that work, that would have been a GG. But at this point, I've made so many links. I should have been making drones, and now I know that the tank is up there. So I've learned my lesson. You check first, but then it's just sort of like, okay, what to do? Well, right, last game this happened. Whoops, little misclick there. Last game this happened, there were Liberators, so I'm gonna place some spores for Liberator defense. And then spore for the larva to protect them as well. Same thing on this side. And then the lings that I made way too many of are just gonna chill here. And they're gonna wait for an opportunity to make an attack. Probably making some Banes would be good. But yeah, I think I'm playing this the way that I'm happy with the way that I played it out with the lings. Sending 1 ling out to scout for when the expansion comes, having the lings wait there until it's time. The Liberator comes across into view, and just in time, we're gonna have all of our spores up and the queens will be ready. Spending money could be a bit better right now, but I'm just super focused on making sure nothing dies to this Liberator. Except, of course, larva. Nothing you can do about that one. Way too many clicks. That was a 2-click operation, and I could have gotten back to this base a lot sooner to deal with this, but I didn't because I was spending my time spam clicking instead of thinking of the next step. Not attacking with workers here is a big mistake. It took me a while to realize, wait, I should attack with workers. I even sent my army halfway back, and then I was like, no, stop it. That's a terrible idea. Don't send your whole army that's all the way across the map to go kill this tiny drop that's probably going to be killed by the time the next queen comes out. Just use your drones. So, nice little learning experience there that I can just sort of keep with me. I don't think I'll have to practice that. I think that feels like a lesson learned rather than something new that I should be practicing. And get the injects going. get this safe. Kind of debating whether to protect the larva or to protect the mineral line. I end up making the mechanical mistake of thinking I had 3 drones selected when I had 2 drones selected, so one of the spores ended up getting canceled. That was not intentional. That was just me playing badly. We know they still don't have an expansion. Still don't have an expansion. So I send a small group of lings back to defend, but I realize, oh crap, I put it on the same control group that I basically relegated this Zergling off to. And that pulled it back. But yeah, I decided at that point, it's like, I should probably have some lings at home. You can almost see my thought process based on what I'm clicking, right? Like, get this upgrade, get this upgrade. Oh wait, I can't get an upgrade. How do I get it? Get a hive. How do I get a hive? Build the thing. Okay, go build the thing. Should probably spend some more time on base management. Just making sure the workers are in their right place and all that. I tend to focus on other things because it takes me such a long time to manage my bases, but practicing managing my bases will make managing bases take less time. And so I should probably spend time doing that in the idea that I'm investing in the future. And now we know they're taking that base. Let's wait a little bit. I see the Liberator go out, so I try to do a run by here. But then I realize, oh man, there's things to kill. They're probably much stronger than me because I keep forgetting to build evolution chambers. But now we're on the defensive. We gotta try to do everything we can to survive. And we're losing overlords. I think at this point, lings and banes are really pretty much all that I need. I might have hydras at this point. I'm not sure that I built the hydra den. Oh no, right, I'm way past this in tech. Finally, there it is. There are the evos at 8 minutes. Probably a little on the late side, but we're making progress from not building them all to building them at 30 minutes, to building them at 15 minutes, to building them at 8 minutes. We are improving. And so we're just trying to buy as much time as possible. We know we have the economic lead. If we just keep cranking out units and trade them okay, we're gonna be fine. Unfortunately, they siege up right where all my baneling eggs are. Makes me very sad. I saved 2 lings and that is all. Did I remorph? So this is the point where I get scanned. And so I wait. Spending my money though, pretty well. I think those are hydras. And then morphing more queens. Don't know if that's exactly the best thing to do in this scenario. But yeah, so at this point, my idea is, okay, this guy's taking forever, right? This guy's taking forever to push. So we're just gonna attack these rocks and just let them slow push while we build up a huge army force. And then we get to go. The problem is I've been egg hotkeying, and so many units suicide to their death as a result of that. When you get cut off like this, you really have to keep an eye on your hotkeys, keep your units on hold position, and wait for the right moment. Basically, you add units to the hotkey. I think the ideal execution here is add units to your hotkey, but you set hatchery rally points, and then from that point, you wait to use the control group until you're just gonna surround with everything. Oh, we have a little bit of movement. Here. Moving in, trying to get some little bruising on the hatch. Doesn't happen. The banes are a bit out of position. Kind of got them pulled down a little bit. Again, the Hatch is getting messed up. I don't send the banelings. But that's kind of okay. It ends up working out. Bit of a delay there for the reaction. Waiting for that right moment to try and get this around in. Hey, Raven Slicer. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. All right. And you can see I have the attack ready to go on the minimap. Select all army. Attack from all sides. Cross your fingers and hope that it works. And it ended up being pretty good. I think the Link should have come in the front, the Hydra should have come in the back, but it was really hard to do because most of my Hydras are up north anyway. And nice, so we have another little crush of this slow push attack. Feels very good. Immediately go to the counterattack because we know our opponent's been down on economy for a long time. We've been up on economy. They haven't dealt really any damage. We're pretty much at, whoa, yeah. Then I look in the main and something terrible happened here. I remember this now. But I think we're still ahead overall anyway. And we get the upgrades at 10 minutes. Okay, one step at a time. And they still don't have a natural base. I'm so surprised. I'm just like, what, really? No way, that's crazy. See if I can get some damage in there. Then I realize, oh yeah, there's siege tanks. You can't do that. It's a game changer. It's like, oh, should I do this thing? It's like, well, are there siege tanks? Because depending on how you answer that question, the answer to your question is going to be very different. Okay. Here we go, a little bit of base management. Should have kicked in right when I saw we were 9 out of 12, and there was 1 out of 3 on the gas, so it was a little bit delayed. I did some other things in the meantime that were relatively important, but I think I'm still underestimating or undervaluing the importance. Then over here, I try to get a scout to see if there's a command center down there yet. There must be, is my inclination. There must be a command center there at this point. Yeah, and you can tell I'm doing a lot of thinking right now. Right now, I'm spending most of my time trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to deal with this? I was gonna come around and deal damage to the workers, but then there were no more workers. I was like, oh gosh. So I try to kill this siege tank, utilizing some damage from the links and then the splash damage from the enemy tanks. And it is a success. Always feels good. But yeah, just a lot of staring at this fight and getting little bits of damage instead of spending 1,000 minerals. Really, and I can do both. You can very easily do both. Really need to be spending that money. You know, bunch of links and some overlords right now would be great. Stay out of tank range, best that we can. Tricky thing is, when I do this, I'm hold positioning the reinforcements, so I really should be control clicking to hold position there. I've done that a couple of times now, so that's a pattern. That's something that needs to be addressed. And at this point, they're turtled up in their base, and so I want to stay ahead on economy. Also want to get the vision going on. One thing that I realize, however, is they're probably not really prepared for a drop. And so we're just going to drop them. This is what happens when you have so much money. Just so much money. Little hotkey trick from TLO. If you bind your overlord to tab, you stop yourself from holding the overlord button down and just building tons of overlords that you don't need. Because if you hold the tab button down, it will make one overlord, because that's the way the tab button works. It's very special. And it happens to work out because I use the core as a left-handed user. And it works out for TLO because he uses a modified version of standard as a right-handed user. Again, the drone pull, too late. Too late. Drones are tough. They can kill stuff, you know? Use them. Very reluctant to do that, and as a result, I end up losing that base. It wasn't that many Marines. That comes with time. That's about power estimation. That's about, okay, how strong is this? How strong is what I have? Should I engage or not? It's such a critical piece of information, and we have talked about it now 2 weeks in a row. It just keeps coming up as this this thing that's preventing us from winning or what have you. Man, what are with these overlords with the collars on them? Like, we got these like Count Dracula overlords, and they're red too at the moment, which is pretty great. That should have been a control click, although it was a small box, which is nice. And we're building more and more units. I don't think we end up waiting for the Lings. We're building a bunch more stuff. Maybe it was Hydras. Pretty sure it was Lings. But the upgrades are going. They're doing their thing. It's very nice. Make sure everything's in its right place. And then, oh, we get scouted. Oh yeah, I remember. We were gonna load up the Lings, but then we got scouted. So I was like, okay, I have to go in before they reposition all their tanks. The other idea that I have here is that they'll reposition their tanks pretty quickly. So I'll use my Lings in the front and we'll attack 2 locations at once. That's the idea. We take a look and we see that all their stuff is still there. And we just start unloading everything. And, ooh, 2 unsiege tanks. Take that. Then we run into the siege tank. Can we get on the high ground? I think we do. There's actually not that much left. I end up retreating here to be safe because there's so much free damage over here. It's just sort of like, why would I fight, you know, under the siege tank range when I have so much free damage that's outside it? Better to force them to move, even if we have the overwhelming numbers. I think it's best to respect the siege tank in this scenario. And we just got ahead the early game really well because we droned up instead of making units like a fool. And so some positive reinforcement here for doing the right thing. And then we get a little silly over here because I know that this is all that they have left in the whole game. So I accidentally build a spawning pool. These are supposed to be spores. And then I realized just sort of like, hey, you can just hang out. We're fine. We got tons of bases, and economy, money. Got larva to build stuff with. At this point, we're fine. This is a little bit of a bad habit, which is not playing to your maximum skill when not playing to your maximum skill while you are... What? Why is this not in the center anymore? That's weird. Anyway, let's see. Let's take a look. I think it's Alt. Yeah, I don't think we need all of that stuff for the review. Cool. Okay, excellent. Excellent, wonderful day. It's been a good bit of analysis. Let's take a look at the things that we've noticed from before and see if we've improved at all. The spam is still happening, definitely. I think we've decreased the camera spam though, quite a bit. Noticed that was lower, so that's pretty good. We are using the mini-map more. That's good. The location hotkeys, I didn't notice. It wasn't one of our priorities. We bolded the priorities, so I didn't notice if that was happening. Consider where I should be looking. This is a new thing from this week. This supply block has been much better. This has been much better. We're gonna keep it up here, but I think we're gonna unbold it as in, I think this is kind of taken care of. We should be, those building hotkeys are bad. We need to just sit down in the training arcade map and just practice that for a little bit. Injecting while attacking, that was definitely better today than yesterday. That's good. We didn't do any specific action sequence training, but the Zergling spread was better. We did another Zergling spread. We got some tips from Neuro on how to hold a 14-14 with a 17-18-17, so we'll start applying that. Part of it will probably involve this pool positioning that we picked up from Eon Blue today as well. Waiting for the money to do things, that was new. And the whole position micro stuff as well. We'll check this stuff. It'll be pretty easy to do. Scout the front more is definitely a basics thing? Vision? Do we have a scouting section? I guess it's in strategy. Yeah, I think we're gonna put this in. It's kind of like under the stop blind attacking expanding, right? It's in that section of things. We got some gas timings. We'll apply those to tomorrow's practice. We don't know when to get the evos yet, so that's something to be considering. For now, we're just kind of winging it, doing it sooner rather than not at all. Just trying to improve. First to attack pass, we actually did that in one game and it won us the game, so that was really nice for that to happen. It allowed us to drone up really hard. And we're gonna be working on delaying this second gas. I'm gonna put that in bold as far as strategy goes as something to work on. Patience about engagements was much better. We're gonna continue doing that, but of course, I think here we're gonna unbold that because we had really good patience this time. Obviously, of course, we should be building Dragoons. All right, so that's it for day 2. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think my priority should be. And, you know, go ahead and make a comment in the Google document if you're feeling it. If you're feeling like, you know what, I could give you some sweet advice, Mr. Jack. Let me tell you all about ZVT gas timings. And I'll be like, oh, thank you so much, Eon Blue. You're a god. Or maybe your name's not Eon Blue. Maybe it's something else. Either way, see you tomorrow.